door that led us to this abandoned building. Let's see if we can get to the top or something.
Yeah, I'm told that this building has an excellent view of Dahieh. Hopefully we can get to the top.
There's some window debris.
You hear the drone outside?
Yeah.
Let's go.
There's a door locked. It's locked.
Check it out. Ah, success, my brother. Good day, this is Dimitri Lascaris and Rami Yahia coming to you for Reason to Resist on June 8th, 2026. How are you doing today, Rami?
Doing good. We just climbed an abandoned building here and found this vantage point where we get to see pretty much all behind us is the neighborhoods of Dahieh here on our right, and towards our left here, the neighborhood of Hadith, which are predominantly Shia, and Israel has been targeting them.
And I wonder if we're able to actually see downtown Beirut. Maybe not. The reason why Rami and I took us some effort to get up here, clambered up this abandoned building was it's very difficult to get a good vantage point of Dahieh and without getting specific authorization for that purpose, and we simply didn't have time to go through those hoops. So nonetheless, we were successful in finding a very good vantage point. We've been up here now, I would say, for about 15 minutes. We have heard throughout that time an Israeli drone, at least one, possibly more, flying overhead. I'll just pause speaking for a moment, see, so hopefully you'll be able to make it out on the recording. It's a bit distant now.
I heard you.
In any case, it'll probably be coming back our way anytime soon. And by the way, the sound of Israeli drones is even more intense over central Beirut. I've already posted about that on X. So we came up here, of course, to see what is happening. So far, we have seen no indication of any kind of strikes on Dahieh. We're not aware of any having been carried out today by Israel or the United States. Who knows nowadays who's actually doing the firing on the side of the Epstein regime. We're told in the last round it was all Israel, but that's scarcely believable. The Israeli regime has also made clear, although it says it's acting alone, it also says that it's being done in full coordination with the United States military, its attacks on Iran. So how you reconcile those two statements, I'll leave that to you. In any case, let's summarize what we believe to have happened over the last 24 hours or so. Yesterday, when Rami and I were in the South Bekaa Valley, we learned, along with our colleague, by the way, Laith Marouf, and his producer Ali from Free Palestine TV, and we'll be publishing that report later today. But when we were down there, we received news along with video footage of an Israeli strike on Dahieh that killed and wounded a number of civilians. And immediately the Iranian leadership declared that there would be pain inflicted upon Israel. One of the higher ranking officials in the Iranian government said, "Watch the skies over occupied Palestine tonight." And indeed, the Iranians sent wave after wave of missiles. We believe the number of missiles, and apparently they fired a number of jet-powered drones, that the number of projectiles is not in the single digits, but rather in the tens. And there has been video footage coming out of occupied Palestine, not a great deal, but some video footage which seems to show that at least a few of those projectiles got through. One of them, there is a plume of smoke rising from a strike in an illegal Israeli settlement in the occupied West Bank. I think its name is Itamar, but I might be mistaken about that. We also saw other video of incoming missiles over the skies, the night skies of occupied Palestine last night, which were not meeting any apparent resistance from air defense units. And at the very end of the footage of the video, you can see a flash of light suggesting that there was indeed an impact on the ground. But again, these videos were taken at such a distance and they're so brief that it's really hard to say whether great damage was done or very limited damage. The Iranians also announced that they were focusing much of their fire on the Israeli Air Force base that is responsible for the strike on Dahieh, according to them. I believe the name of that base is Ramat David, but that was by no means the only target they struck. And there were sirens ringing throughout occupied Palestine, not only at various points during the night, but again this morning. Now, Rami, according to the Iranian government, they just announced a short while ago that they're holding their fire, that they've stopped their attacks for now, but at the same time they've made quite clear that if there's a resumption of the war on Lebanon, that they will resume their attacks on Israel. What do you make of everything that's happened?
Well, I think it's also important to put this in the context of what's been going on in Lebanon over the past week. The Lebanese government initially criticized the Iranian government, saying that it's meddling into Lebanon cannot be used as a pawn in the struggle between Iran and Israel. And then shortly after, the foreign affairs minister of Iran basically criticized the Lebanese government of not being able to take a stronger stance on protecting Lebanese sovereignty. And moments after the Iranian foreign minister criticized the Lebanese government, I believe it was a Lebanese politician who said that the Iranian embassy should be shut down. And moments later, Israel killed 3 high-ranking Lebanese soldiers. And I think this just shows the impunity of Israel when it comes to dealing with Lebanon. It's violating the sovereignty of this country. Hezbollah took its obligation and in the defense of the Lebanese people by striking Israeli military positions with fiber optic drones, which has been bringing in regularly, I believe, 2 Israeli casualties a day, dead Israeli soldiers, occupiers, terrorists from Lebanese soil. And last night, as Iran announced that they have shot missiles and drones in direction of occupied Palestine, I was in the neighborhood of Jaladib with some friends, and just the sensation of pure joy and celebration and noticing that the Iranian government, the Iranian people are coming in defense of the Lebanese people after weeks, months of violation of Lebanese sovereignty. It was quite a joyful moment to be amongst Lebanese people that were celebrating Iran coming once again to the defense of the Lebanese people. And right after the Iranian strikes, I also took a stroll by car around the neighborhood of Dahieh, and one thing that was noticeable was that all the lights were closed. It was a bit of a ghost town. And navigating around, after a point, we decided to leave. But I think till this moment, Dimitri, I think it's fair to say that the area around Dahieh is suspiciously quiet. Israel, at the last information that we have, haven't struck Dahieh again. Is this a recognition of Iran's red line, although Israel now said there's no more red lines, as if there was any ever before? Or is this the calm before the storm, where Israel is going to strike Dahieh again, maybe in the upcoming minutes? And this is why we're here on this rooftop with this abandoned building, so that we could have the best view to actually see what's going on in Dahieh.
I just want to quickly correct one thing you said. The number of senior officers in the Lebanese military killed was 2. There was also a private who was killed in that drone strike near Nabatea, and they are quite senior. Rami has got that right.
General.
Yes, Wissam Sabra is his name. He's a Sunni, by the way, and the captain's name who died with him, Yahia, who is a Christian, we understand, and the private who died was a Shia. So I guess you could call it a non-discriminatory, non-sectarian, non-discriminatory atrocity committed by the genocidal entity against the Lebanese National Army. The general was buried yesterday. The captain was buried this morning. The reports that I've heard from friends here is that there were no major uprisings at either of the funerals. Apparently things unfolded in a rather orderly manner. But the interesting news from the standpoint of the Lebanese military, aside from this outrageous attack this outrageous assassination only carried out within 48 hours of the latest fraudulent ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon, is that the head of the Lebanese army departed for Pakistan. And my source, one of my sources here tells me that there's no indication that that was done with the coordination of the Lebanese government, and principally the Prime Minister, Nawaf Salam, who, as I understand it, is the titular head of the Lebanese army. So why the commander of the Lebanese army went to Pakistan at that particular moment, my source suggests that the reason is the leadership of the Lebanese army does not want to be involved in the disarmament of Hezbollah, and they believe that the Iranians might just be able to secure a true ceasefire protecting the country from further savagery, and apparently that is the objective of the Lebanese army commander going to Pakistan at this particular point in time. Now, other important news: Ansarallah has re-entered the fray. They launched at least one missile at the genocidal entity last night and declared that the Bab al-Mandab Strait, which leads from the Red Sea into the Gulf of Aden, a very, very important choke point for global maritime transportation, is closed to Israeli shipping. The announcement I saw was limited to Israeli shipping. They didn't say anything about US shipping, so they might be upping the ante in an incremental way rather than immediately going for the economic jugular and provoking the wrath of the United States military. Last time the United States military tried to take on Ansarallah, that didn't work out too well, but undoubtedly they did quite a bit of damage to Yemen and caused a great deal of suffering to the civilian population. So I suspect that the leadership of Ansarallah has decided now is the time to come to the aid of the other members of the Axis of Resistance. But again, I think it seems to be that they're acting incrementally. What do you make of this news, Rami, that Ansarallah is back in the fold?
I think it puts Trump in a difficult position. In one way, of course, we cannot remove the U.S. variable in Israeli strikes on Lebanon, right? We know that they're happening in conjunction, but I think there's a price point that the United States are not willing to pay, which the Israelis are. And I think that by escalating, the Iranians, by striking occupied Palestine as a retaliation for the strikes on Dahieh, on Ansarallah closing the Bab al-Mandab, what we're going to notice should be an increase of oil prices. I believe last time oil prices were at $90 a barrel. It seems like there was a trajectory for it going back down. A drastic increase of oil prices would make the stakes much higher, and then I think it will maybe push new negotiations with Iran, one that will, the initial agreement included Lebanon in that ceasefire, but one where will be enforced and one where the United States will not be able to play anymore this card of not knowing exactly the details of this agreement that they've actually implemented.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the reaction of the oil markets. I checked about an hour ago and again earlier this morning, and the first time I checked in the morning before the announcement that Iran was halting its attacks on the genocidal entity, the price of Brent crude had gone up about almost 6%, and it was trading up around $98 US. But just before we got in the taxi to come here in this abandoned building, it appeared that the price had recovered considerably, and it was only up about 1.7% on the day. The announcement by the Iranian government seems to have calmed markets considerably. Also, stock markets reacted very negatively this morning at the resumption of direct exchange of fire between Israel and Iran. But again, after this announcement by Iran that it was suspending attacks, the stock 600 in Europe was actually slightly up on the day. The Korean stock market, interestingly, opened 8% down, and it was so bad that they halted trading. But I haven't checked more recently. I suspect it's also probably recovered at this stage. And the thing, Rami, which frankly I can't make sense of any of this, as somebody who's been involved in stock markets my entire career as a lawyer. The fact that oil is trading well below $100 a barrel, it's still way up from where it was at the beginning of the year. It was about $61 a barrel, Brent crude. So it's still, about 50% higher. But the thing is, Rami, that before Iran and the United States, during the ceasefire, before Iran and the United States started firing each other, and well before Iran and Israel started firing at each other, at a point in time when actually the ceasefire seemed to be holding reasonably well, the price of oil was up around 110 bucks. And this was back in April. And since then, not only have we seen a rapid escalation of hostilities between Iran and the Epstein regime, but in addition, global oil inventories are even more depleted now than they were in April because the Strait of Hormuz has not been opened. It still is largely closed to the vast majority of maritime transportation. So how can it be that the price of oil now, with all the hostilities that have been unleashed and the further depletion of oil inventories, be about 10 to 15% lower than it was in April? It just makes absolutely no sense to me. I can only guess that there's some form of manipulation going on. What do you make of this, Rami?
I mean, obviously the Americans, the European countries are releasing their oil reserves, right? Their own stockage that is basically there for mission critical moments like right now. But also when I was in Iraq, which is one of the top oil producers in the world, they sell oil, it's subsidized, it's not really sold at market price, right? So it's around 400 dinars a liter, which is 25 to 30 cents a liter, which is obviously, basically you're covering costs with that. But there was a shortage of oil in Iraq. Gas stations were lined up, and it just was very hard to believe how this could happen, considering Iraq is a oil producer, right? If there's any country in the world where there shouldn't be a shortage of oil, it should be in Iraq. But it's because these oil reserves in Iraq are owned by foreign enterprises, and they're probably using the Iraqi reserves to fund Western reserves instead. And the people that are paying the price right now are countries that are under the boot of American imperialism. Iraq, you look at Bangladesh, Pakistan, they're also struggling strongly from the impact of the oil markets. While we're manipulating the market, the global south is paying the price, and they're the ones living the shortages. So I believe the reason why the market itself is not as impacted is because the market isn't taking into consideration the people that we can just steal oil from and influence our markets instead.
Yeah. And also, I think some of the reduction is probably due to demand destruction. The price got up so high that there was a lot of consumption just dried up, shall we say, because people simply couldn't afford the oil. And so that probably does account to some degree for the fall in the price of oil. There's simply less global demand because oil became so expensive. But still, it seems like a pretty big drop, given the circumstances, which basically a worsening of the global supply of oil and a heightening of the risks related to the Strait of Hormuz. And of course, there's also the fact that Ansarallah announced today a completely new set of restrictions on global maritime transportation, namely a closure to Israeli shipping of the Bab al-Mandab Strait. One thing I'm curious to see in the days ahead, first of all, if in fact there is no further hostilities directed by the genocidal entity of Lebanon, will Ansarallah lift its restrictions on Israeli shipping through the Bab al-Mandab Strait, or will they keep it in place pending a definitive peace deal, assuming one can be achieved? And another question is, how will the global maritime transportation industry react to this? Even though Ansarallah says that the closure is limited to Israeli shipping, nonetheless, other shipping companies, that are delivering product from destinations other than Israel, are not depositing any cargo in Israel. They might say the situation has become simply too risky. Global insurers might say there is heightened risk there, so we're going to charge extremely increased premiums to insure these vessels. It's hard to say exactly how this announcement by Ansarallah is going to affect non-Israeli shipping, but I imagine that it isn't going to be good for any shipping company or for the global maritime transportation industry in general. So the situation remains extremely tense, extremely volatile. We will stay up here for a little while longer to see if there are any further attacks on Dahieh or other parts of Beirut, and we will be reporting to you any other developments as they happen. Rami, any parting words before we sign off today?
Again, I think the best word to describe the situation at the moment is suspiciously quiet. And we'll make sure to be there to report. I mean, I'm here for another week, and I think we are actively looking on the ground to best tell you guys what's going on, and we'll be very cautious.
Signing off today for Reason to Resist on June 8th, 2026.